I'll declare it here now, Tatami Time Machine Blues will be my favorite ONA of all time, just as Tatami Galaxy is my favorite anime of all time. The preamble is very chaotic and really brings us back to how Tatami Galaxy opens. Instead of a hyper high-speed monologuing by Watashi, we get a cast that is just throwing information at this poor guy. So let's skip around and actually go through this episode chronologically to try to make sense of it all. During Watashi's first summer, Higuchi introduces him to the rumored Room 209. During Watashi's second summer, Watashi finds a spot to watch the Okiribi bonfire, which brings us to the third summer of his university, which is where we are at this point. He moves up from the first floor to the room right next to Higuchi a couple days prior to August 11th, which is where the events of the story seem to begin. And it's a little suspicious as Higuchi seems to have a reason for this move to take place at this particular time with how Akashi says her line. And since Watashi isn't his disciple in this, era or this timeline or this world, Watashi is not privy to this information. Interestingly, also, I actually started watching Tatami Galaxy on August 12th, 2020, which is really cool to see how these dates line up. Natsume really made this anime just for me. Anyways, prior to episode 11, but after Watashi moves into his new tatami room, Akashi approaches him at night. We can safely assume this is like August 10th, to use his room to film the movie. The filming for the movie begins in the morning, and it is about a fall of a shogunate, which is the same one that is described to be the origins of this apartment building. Akashi is the member of the Misogi film club, which in the original Galaxy she was in charge of 3D and visual effects, but here she's the director herself for this B movie. Even if Watashi is not part of the film club this time around, his rivalry and burning hatred for Jogasaki and Ajima continues on. The fortune teller does come back, but not in as satisfying of a way as I thought, since she isn't used as a counter for this episode number, but maybe her role will be expanded in future episodes. After the statue falls, we have some discrepancies. Ozu appearing on the balcony from the time machine is fine. That is solidified by the camera footage, so I don't really have anything to say about that. However, Hanuki doesn't even remember experiencing Higuchi's lines, even though it seems like she was the one that gave them advice in the same format of episode 6 from Tatami. So if she wasn't the one, then who was the one giving them the lines? Also, another really cool remark is Higuchi is Ryoma, where the VA for Higuchi is Zoro in One Piece and does in fact meet Ryoma in that show. Once shooting is complete, all of the boys head to the bathhouse. A rewind is timed in a place where the usual one is to denote the end of the episodes for Tatami Galaxy, which is awesome because the length of Tatami Blues is much longer, so we still got that nostalgia hit of that rewind sound. I wonder if this trend will continue on with the other episodes. Who are these other fellows in the bathhouse? Unless we probably come back to this moment in future episodes, this feels like future versions of themselves listening in within the same bathhouse. Also, Hanuki's voice also appears, but is she the only one in the girl side? Is this technically her first real appearance on this day? If she wasn't the one that, or if she doesn't remember that she was the one at the film set, who knows? We can't really refute that statement. After the bathhouse, since the sky is still bright, we have not reached the preamble moment yet, so Watashi goes to the book fair to try to ask Kashi out, as it is in the next day where he finds out that someone has already asked her out to the bonfire. Watashi's fears of rejection are emulated from episode 1 of Tatami Galaxy, where Akashi rejects some randos, and Watashi feels that he is just a rando at this point, an acquaintance at best, because of his lack of forwardness. He makes up excuses like he did enough for today, and that there's always tomorrow, and it brings me back to my first episode review of Tatami, which will be in the same playlist, where the act of attempting a change and not really progressing is sometimes more addictive than the act of changing itself. And this Watashi that we know of never really joins any clubs thus far, going back to their old high school ways. Not that it's a bad thing, as he still hangs out with the same people with slightly different dynamics, but he has even been given an opportunity to mingle as disciples, as equals, like in episode 4 with Akashi herself, yet that is not enough to overcome his anxiety of rejection. Just like how Watashi looks forward to Akashi coming to the apartment building often, she also finds excuses to be together with Watashi, like having the film take place in his residence. The scene after getting home at the end of August 11th is a little odd. Ozu is wearing a different shirt, and this could just be that he changed out of it from the film set, or maybe he's just wearing something different compared to August 12th, but this could be another timeline, especially with how confused Watashi feels. Maybe the flashback that we had where Akashi asks for his advice or asked to film something was actually for this and not for the film on the 11th. Ozu even mocks Watashi's dancing that happens the next day on the 12th, here to break the remote for the AC unit on August 11th. August 12th opens with this heat from the lack of AC. The standoffishness of Watashi and Ozu kind of remind me of Ozu's introduction from Tatami Galaxy episode 6, which is storyboarded by Natsume, so a perfect nod to their past work, and I'm sure we'll get plenty of nods throughout the series for that. The routine that Watashi is talked about in the preamble is actually done by Akashi as explained by Watashi, and this is the same justification that he uses the day before to get Akashi to go to the bonfire with him, that he needs to have this kind of routine in to be the sort of person that can ask out Akashi. A new character is introduced, and it raises two important notes. Is this future person, and we do know that they are from the future because of how they reference Higuchi as master when they've probably not been their master yet. Is this the person that asked out Akashi, or is it a future Watashi from later on in the series who goes back in time to ask her out because he knows by August 12th she has already said yes to someone and he thinks that isn't him? Okiribi takes place on August 16th, so instead of the Neku Ramen as the final promise like in Tatami Galaxy, this bonfire, which will take place in about 4 to 5 days from the story, is probably where we will end Tatami Blues, and the wind chime definitely reinforces this final moment. So yeah, that's all for the video. I don't always get the chance to really bring out my thoughts and theories, even if they're completely wrong on a week-to-week basis, for a continuation of sorts of my top 1 anime, so I may never get this opportunity. So unlike Watashi, I will grab what is in front of me and make the most of it. I will see you guys next Wednesday to figure out how episode 2 messes up this timeline even more. Peace.